Good morning, welcome to Fairy and Spoilt. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to introduce a new dog to your existing dogs. So this is my new dog here, Humps. He's 5 years old. He's come over from Korea from the horrors of the meat trade. And I already have 2 dogs. So you'll see them later on in the video. And if you watch my other videos, you'll be very familiar with them. So there's Albert. Now, it's a little bit of a complicated situation because Albert, he is 9. He's a Bichon Frise mix, but he has autism. And so that has really made my job an awful lot harder because he does a lot of things that other dogs don't know how to read. And he's not massively great at reading other dogs. But he's incredibly friendly. But he is top dog in the pack, obviously below me. So that made life a little bit more complicated. And then I've got Harry. Now, Harry is very much, you'll see him in a minute. He is as cute as a button. He's a right old mix of things. Gorgeous little dog. Real middle of the pack. Well, not even middle. I'd say probably back of the pack. Happy-go-lucky. Really easy going. Really more than happy to step down and let Albert take top dog position. And shows Albert a beautiful amount of respect. Which has resulted in them being the best of friends. So now we've got Humps here, and I've got to we've introduced him to our pack. We've had him for 3.5 weeks at this stage, and I'm going to go through with you today exactly what we did when they first met and that first day, and then different things that I'm doing now going forward to make sure that the pack stays harmonious. It's going really well at this point. They're not friends, but they have a healthy respect for each other. They're integrating with each other. And there's been no growling and no fighting. And can I just say something? That when he came to us, that was the warning we kept being given. That he snaps at other dogs. So it's in him. And so doing what I've done is working really well at stopping all of that happening. He hasn't just come as a happy-go-lucky dog and I've just got lucky and anyone could have done it. He's come as a dog with potential problems with other dogs. The one thing that absolutely, I wasn't too phased about that at all. I knew I could sort that out. The one thing that I was adamant about was, though, if he wanted to be top dog, he absolutely wouldn't be able to live with us. Because Albert is top dog. Again, below me. But Albert is top dog. If another dog had come in and challenged that position, I would have had fights. And it would have been really, really awful for Albert. And there is no way that I was going to put them through that. So that's the other thing that you do have to think about when you're bringing a dog in. And I'm going to do a whole different video about understanding your pack and what kind of dog you want to slot into your pack that will work well. So I knew that Humps would work because he's either middle of the pack or back of the pack. I haven't quite worked that out yet, but he's absolutely not top of the pack. And I also knew that when I brought the Humps into my pack, it would be fine for my dogs because Harry will have a play pal and Albert couldn't care less that he's here. He's just like, yeah, whatever. Really couldn't care less. And what is really nice is that Humps has instantly seen that Albert is top dog and he shows Albert that respect. And he's also seen that Harry is not top dog and he's not showing Harry that respect. He's not aggressive, nothing like that, but he is nicking toys off him and stuff like that. But it's all fine. It's all just good fun. And it sharpened Harry right up, which is quite nice. But it's really nice to see that Humps has come in and absolutely understood the hierarchy of my pack without question. And so that's really, really important when you're choosing a new dog, that you really think about where he slots into your pack. But like I said, I'll do a different video on that because it's quite complicated. So I'm just going to run through now and the things that I'm doing to keep harmony in the house and what we did on that first day. Right, so what's really important is anything you do with your dogs, you do it in the hierarchy of your pack so that nobody feels left out and the new dog knows where they stand. So for instance, so in the morning I brush my dogs. So this is just a little brush for YouTube, it's not a proper brush. So first of all, I will brush Albert because he is my top dog, and as I brush him first, and he knows where he stands, and then the new dog comes, knows the order of things. It's a really good way of showing the new dog the order of things. So as you can see, they all like being brushed. I've done some work with Humps being brushed and he's loving it. So do Albert first. Then next, I'm going to go over here and do Harry because he is my next in order of the pack. Now, as things stand at the moment, I'm not exactly sure if Humps is going to sit above Harry in the pack or if he's going to sit below him or equal to him is what I'm hoping for. But what I do know for sure is that because he's the new dog, I'm going to brush Harry next. Again, not a proper brush, just a YouTube brush. And then I come over and I do Humps last. And he has been such a good boy with being brushed, because let's just remember, he's come from Korea. We know for sure nobody brushed him in Korea. And he's absolutely loving being brushed. He sometimes gets a bit playful with it, which is quite nice. And you brush your new dog last. And there we go. And then it's just another clear indication of where everybody is in the pack. Yeah, I know. Now he's going to be all silly. Now he's going to be a silly sausage. But it's just another really clear indication of where everybody is in the pack. Brush his belly. We brush his belly. Yeah, we brush his belly. Yeah, we do. Can we please just point out again, he's come from Korea, bless his little heart. Yeah, he has. And he's a happy little boy. And he's doing very, very well, aren't you, sweetheart? Yeah, you are. Right, so that's it. Do everything in the order of your pack hierarchy. Right, the next thing is having toys. Now, I wasn't at all sure how this was going to go. And I got the toys out, half expecting to just have to put them all away again. I wasn't sure if it was going to cause fight. But I wanted to try it because scientifically proven that dogs that play are less anxious. Now, I can't play as in throwing balls and stuff with Humps because he's hurt his leg. But, you know, they could play with toys. Can you see how he's absolutely destroying this toy here? And the reason that toys work is because they're a good distraction and they're able to get anxiety out of them. It also means if there was any chance they were going to chew your house, they're less likely to do that because they've got toys. Now, really, with dog toys, I wouldn't just have them out all the time. I would sort of control play times and have some control. But I've done the exact opposite with these, and it's worked great. So they are all out all the time. The basket is here. They are normally all over the floor, all over the place. Now, Albert, my top dog, couldn't care less about toys. But Harry and Humps really, really, really like toys. And I really feel that if there's any point, because you've got to think about what he's going through. And although, you know, we are giving him a lovely home. Oh, he's watching the birds. We are giving him a lovely home. He has come from Korea. He doesn't, and it only dawned on me the other day, he doesn't understand anything I'm saying. He's listened to Korean. So you imagine he's in a very, very different situation. And there are going to be times when that is going to get stressful for him. And if he can go and get him a toy and pull the stuffing out of it like he has, then that's really, really good. And it's a good way for him to get rid of anxiety. The other thing is that it's given me a chance to really watch how him and Harry are going to interact. Now, if at any point I saw any issues, I would immediately have put all the toys away. But I haven't seen any issues. Now, there has been the odd time when Humps has gone to steal Harry's toy. He's going to leave me. He's going to do an Albert, isn't he, and leave me halfway through recording. There is a chart. There has been the odd time when, you know, there has been a grumble between the two of them when someone's gone to take the other one's toy. But what I like about that is, stare at some toys. What I like about that is that it's shown me that no one will pursue a fight. It's just the odd grumble and everything's fine and there's no fighting. Obviously, if you get anything more than a grumble, Humps, come here, darling. What are you barking at? Did you hear somebody in the garden? He's a good boy, this little one. He listens if I call, you know, if he barks and I call him, he's really good. Here comes Pickle Boy. This is the one who's going to be the same level as him in the pack, I think, and is the other plays with the toys. The other thing is that for Harry here, so this other dog has been introduced into his life, and it gives Harry something to think about. He's got more toys to play with than he normally does. He doesn't normally always have the toys out all the time. Now the toys are out all the time. It's given him more to think about. And watching the interaction between them, I think it's quite exhausting, Harry. He's getting into bed quite early in the evening and conking out all night, which he does anyway. But, you know, he just seems a bit more tired. Can you hear the dogs at the end? There's two dogs who live in the garden at the bottom of our garden. And the owner is struggling somewhat. She's new to dog ownership and she's struggling somewhat. She is struggling, but she'll get there, she will. But anyway, yes, so toys. I really, really recommend toys because the interaction that it... Hello. Hello. The interaction that it brings... Well, you see there, so Harry got that toy out of the basket, dropped it on the floor. Humps was going to steal it. You didn't care, did you? You're being a really nice boy, aren't you? And you're really, really welcoming, Humps, aren't you? You are. He's a chatty boy. He's being a nice boy interacting. Yeah, you are, aren't you? You're being a really good boy. Yeah, you are. Right, so toys. I highly recommend toys. But I also... No, I'm trying to record. You can't be barking. But under strict supervision. Always under strict supervision. Right, so I want to talk... So we're going to have a little look at Harry. I want to talk to you about how the actual first meeting went. So because Humps was with the rescue centre that was right up north, and the mix that I've got little Albert who's got autism, it meant that we weren't able to do a whole load of visits before, you know, that would have been ideal for them to perhaps meet at a rescue centre, you know, a few times before. But anyway, that wasn't able to happen because of just the situation. So, having spoken an awful lot with the lady that owns the rescue centre, you know, we were pretty sure it was going to be a good match, and it was worth doing the journey. So, you know, bless their hearts, they drove Humps down to us so that I didn't have to upset my dog Albert of autism. And with hindsight, I actually think that was the best way to do it because it meant that everything was done down here at our house. So the first thing we did was the actual first meeting. Now I'm here, I don't know if you can do this everywhere in the world, but in the UK there are dog fields and you hire them. It costs £10 an hour and they're completely enclosed, completely safe. There's no way. The whole point of them is that it's for dogs that can't be off the lead because they'll run after other dogs and stuff like that. So we hired one of these near our house. We knew it. We'd been them a few times. My boys actually find them really boring because there's not really a lot in them. There's not a lot to do. And they find them a bit boring, so we don't go there. But because we checked it out in the past, we knew it would be perfect for the meeting with Humps. So we went there and everybody, the three dogs all stayed on the leads. And there's me, my husband and the lady from the rescue centre. And we just, you know, walked about a bit. No interaction, just walked about a bit. And then slowly built it up to there being a little bit of interaction with them. Again, all on the lead. So my two boys were on long, extendy leads and Humps was on a normal lead. And then I took Humps for a bit of a walk. My husband took Humps for a bit of a walk around the field. I said hello to him. My husband said hello to him. My husband said saying hello to him was a really big deal because Humps is really, really, really scared of men. He's obviously been treated terribly by them. And so him saying, and Rob was kind of got down to his level and Humps was really happy to have a cuddle. So I knew there, you know, that was a massive, really, really, really good sign. My boys weren't really that bothered about him. And that's pretty much how it's been ever since. They're just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I mean, they're just kind of just taking it all in their stride. I mean, Humps is a really, really lovely boy. He sleeps an awful lot. He has a really lovely, calm energy, and they've reacted really well to that. And that's how they were when they first met. They just, yeah, whatever. And they just really weren't that bothered. With Albert, that was what that was all about, was testing him with Albert. Because, like I said, Albert gives off because he's autistic, he makes some funny noises, does some like funny mannerisms. And any dog that has any aggression in them at all, they will go to attack him. It immediately sets it off. And that's no fault of the other dog. That's just because Albert comes across as they don't recognise it and they don't feel comfortable with it. And so we have to always be very, very careful of that. He has to stay on his long lead all the time in case an aggressive dog comes over. And if any dogs come to meet us, we do just have to quickly make sure. We just say he's really aggressive. That's a complete lie. Albert is not. He doesn't have an ounce of aggression in him. But when you've got a dog running towards you, it's a really quick way of getting an owner to pull their dog back. And then when we get closer, we're able to explain he has autism. As long as your dog doesn't have any aggression, then it's all fine. So when we met Humps in that field, if there had been any aggression in Humps, it would have come out instantly. Because we know that from lots of other dogs that we meet, how quickly the aggression comes out in them. And there was absolutely no aggression. So that's what I would say is when you get your dogs to meet, there shouldn't be any aggression in my mind, there shouldn't have been any aggression. So in my mind, if there had been a little bit of a fight, that would have been way too much for me. I needed there to be nothing. And that's probably a very big ask. But because of Albert's condition, there had to be absolutely nothing. And there was nothing. Humps wasn't aggressive in any way. And like I said, my two boys really couldn't have been less interested if they tried. I'm going to show you in a minute what we did when we got home, how the setup was, and tell you how that went. So we're in that field for, it was about just under an hour, I think. Yeah, it was about just under an hour, and we just all walked around, and we said hello to him, and and yeah, that was it really. There wasn't really a lot to it. It was all very, very calm. You know, again, I'm always going on about energy, but how our energy was in that field, and it was quite difficult because I was, that day was a lot. There was an awful lot on that day. Humps desperately needed a home. If that day hadn't gone well, he'd have had to go back to the rescue centre, and it would have broken my heart. There was so much riding on that day, and so I was a mix of really nervous, very apprehensive, but I was also excited. And you know, dogs, you can't lie to a dog. If that's what's going on inside of you, they're going to know about it. So I had to really have a strong word with myself before we left and made sure that my energy was calm and relaxed. And throughout the whole day, I struggled. I'm going to be honest, I struggled. I found there was just so much pressure on us to not muck this up for it to work. And my energy wasn't as perfect as I would have liked it all day. I would have liked to been calmer throughout the day, but I did feel there was a lot of pressure on me. But I managed to stay calm enough to keep my boys calm, which was important, because if I'd got my boys excited for that meeting, we would have just been asking for, it just would not have been a true picture of what would have been going on. So my energy, I really, really worked at my energy, really important. And also the other thing was I got myself prepared. So Humps was coming back to the house. The lady was coming back from the rescue centre from the house. I was going to do lunch. And then we were going to just all stay here for as long as that took. I think, if I remember, the lady, Louise, the lady from the Dog Team UK, someone's cutting their grass or something. Sorry if you can hear that. She was here till about 3 o'clock, I think. So, a long time for them, but we had to make sure everything was okay. And so I was really prepared before the day. So the day before, I had everything ready. The morning before we left, I'd made sandwiches. I'd prepared lunch. I had everything ready for everyone's requirements for tea and coffee and just what everyone was eating. I was really organised. So on that day, all I had needed to focus on was the dogs. So I'm going to show you now where I'm just going to walk out there actually. Walk with me. So this is my sitting room with fluff from dog toys all over the place. So if you watch my video, I'm sorry, there's someone with a saw or something. I don't know if this is going to make it hard for you to be able to hear what I'm saying. If you're familiar with my videos, then you will be familiar with the setup of my house. So this is my kitchen, and this is where I've got dog fluff, not dog fluff, fluff from this poor toy that got the stuffing picked out with him earlier by Humps. So if you see here, this gate thing, it's actually a fire guard. It's perfect for the job. we put this across the back door. We put Humps, Louise from the rescue centre, and my husband out in the garden. And I was in here, so I'm in the kitchen with my 2 boys. Again, no one seemed to care about anything. They had a bit of a sniff through the barriers, through the gate thing. No one really cared. And what I did was, so it was lunchtime now. I'm going to go back in the sitting room because it's very noisy in the kitchen. Yeah, so I feed my boys. Where are you going now, Harry? I feed my boys. Sorry, I'm just walking you back through the sitting room now. I feed my boys 3 times a day, and so what the timing on it was that when I got back from being at the field with them, it was time to feed my boys, and that worked well because what I did was I fed Humps with my boys, but I fed him over the gate, so he was fed in the garden. My boys were fed in the kitchen. And it was a nice introduction to Humps to the house because he was introduced to the house with food, which is always going to be a good thing. I'm really sorry if that's... Do you know what? Let me just go and shut this door. You might not be able to hear it so clearly. Oh, it's really smelly now. Must be a petrol mower or something. So that was a good introduction to when we got back to the house, that Humps had some food. I'm not... Well, I am talking about you, darling. Had some food. Here's little Albert. You haven't seen Albert yet. So he's my little darling with autism. My little sweetheart. And then the lady from the... So Louise from the Dogs Trust. Not the Dogs Trust. The Dog Team UK. She had her lunch in the garden with my husband. And Humps was out there. And I ate my lunch in the kitchen with my 2 dogs. And they were just able to sniff each other through the wooden gate. And there were no issues at all. There were nothing. So we probably did that for about 45 minutes. And I could just tell the energy was all good. And again, my energy had to keep it really calm. Had to keep all the energy really, really calm. That was incredibly important. And then after about maybe another hour, we just opened the gate and let them all mingle. And then we all came into here. And Humps chose his spot. And if you watch my video about... introducing a new dog into your home, I talked to you there about how he chose his spot and all of that, and they just really there were no issues at all. In a minute I want to talk to you about space, and I'll show you, I will talk to you about that in a minute because I think that was one of the really important things during that time. But I just want to say this, I don't want to forget this. What is absolutely key to how calm that all worked was my energy and my husband's energy and Louise's energy, because all of our energy was so calm. It was so quiet. We had the house nice and quiet. Our house is very well. She says when there's somebody making loads of noise at the bottom of the garden, but normally our house is really, really quiet, and so the energy of the house was kept really calm and really quiet. So if you've got children or anything like that, you've got to keep them calm. I know that's really hard, I know, but you've got to keep them calm, because if that energy of the house in any way had been excitable or noisy, that would not have been welcome. And what basically the thing about that is you wouldn't have been able to see the true picture. So if Humps had come into the house and the house had had a bad energy, it was noisy, it was stuff going on, he may have got so scared, because remember, he's a really, really scared dog. So the thing that could have happened was nervous aggression, and that would have made me think he was aggressive, and it just would have been a bad introduction to my 2 boys and to him. That's really, really important. And it is also important, if your house is going to be generally noisy, and there are kids all over the place, noisy, and as they are because they're children, let your dog come into the true environment of your house. And if he then gets aggressive with your other dogs, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to bring him into your house with a false environment. So you don't want to bring him into your house where you ship the children off, it's all really nice and quiet and peaceful. You bring your dog in, you bring your new dog in, you bring your old dog in, and they all get on fine and it's all great. But when the children are around or more people are around and the energy is more excitable, that's when actually you realise these dogs don't get on, and then you are in trouble. And that happens so much with rescue centres. People rescue dogs, take them home, it all seems fine. Oh, hold on, everybody's barking. Let me go. I think the postman's. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so making sure that the energy that you bring the dog into your house to begin with is true energy of your house. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, and this is really important, is space. We don't live in a mansion, we live in a standard 3-bedroomed house. It is really, really important, and it's shown itself to be the case time and time again, that the dogs all have space. So my dogs aren't big, but there are 3 of them. And so I have to make sure, and I've stood by this. So we've had Humps now for 3.5 weeks. And look at the state of my kitchen. Look. We've had Humps for 3.5 weeks now. And I've stood by this the whole time. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I've got my sitting room. You're all very familiar with my sitting room. And then what I've made sure is that this back door here is open all the time. So this is my sitting room. So just to give you an idea, so that's where Hump sleeps normally. Was there a minute ago. And then this is, we've got sliding doors off the back of the sitting room. I've had them open the whole time since we've got, not at night obviously, but open at all times. So if at any point any one of the dogs has wanted to get away from the other dog, they've been able to just go out of that door, and have done many, many times. Because not so much now, they're much more used to it now, but in the beginning they didn't really like passing too close by each other, which was really good. It was a really healthy, respectful way to treat each other. And as you can see, to get out of the sitting room, you'd have to go down that bit there. If there was a dog sitting there, the interaction wasn't, some of them just were a little bit uncomfortable with it. And also, if Humps was sitting there, we, in the first few days before we really knew him, we didn't just want to barge past him. So, I mean, as it happens, he will happily get out of our way. He's a lovely little boy. But you can see my situation, that could not have been good. Dogs could have got in each other's ways and stuff. The other thing is that Humps has got, there's real problems with his back legs, which we're getting sorted out, being sorted out. But it means that if one of the other dogs had walked too close to him, they might have hurt his leg, and I don't want that, and that could have caused some issues. So the back door has always been open, which means that they can get straight out into the back garden. Now we're really lucky because you can walk in a circle from our house, so you can walk out of this door here, walk into the garden, and then you can walk round into the kitchen. My messy kitchen. Look, honestly, normally my house is really tidy and lovely, and then dog toys happened. Look. But then you can walk into the kitchen and it's all great. So space. Really, really make sure you've got space. And even if you can't do the circle, or I've got Humps barking or something, even if you can't do the circle like I can here, make sure that you've got space for everybody to be able to move around. Right, so the next thing I wanted to say was, really, it's very important, I found, that my old dogs, but my 2 original dogs, don't feel that Humps has come along and they're not getting any attention, because that could start problems. Now, Humps has had to have an awful lot of attention because he's got an awful lot of problems. Really, really scared of men, so there's been a lot of work that we've had to do with that. On the whole, he's a gorgeous, gorgeous boy, but you've got to remember, he's come from Korea. I would have expected nothing less than for him to have lots of issues. So it would have been really easy for me to give loads of attention to him. Now, what I have done is I've taken 3 weeks off work and really, really taken the time to integrate him into my pack. And what is really important, though, is that your original dogs do not feel like they don't get the attention that they always got, or nothing changes. And so I've really, really been aware of making sure that my 2 boys still get all the cuddles, still get all the attention. Anything that I ever did with them still gets done. That's really, really important. But at the same time, you've got to make sure that you're giving your new dog attention so that he feels part of the pack. And so really anything that one dog gets, they all get. It's pretty much standard standard procedure in this house. Now, I just want to mention something. Training. So I do a lot of training with my boys, and I never, in the beginning, have never asked Humps to come to training. He just has always been there and always wanted to learn. He absolutely loves training, loves it. It's great to watch. But that potentially there is a problem area because you're holding treats in your hand. The dogs gravitate towards you, if that's what the command is. And so you could have a potential where you've got your treat and then there could be snapping for the treats and, fighting and arguing and could all start there. So what I'm doing is any training that I'm doing, I'm making sure that the commands mean the dogs are far apart from each other and that the treats are given far apart from each other. Now, a lot of the time when I'm doing my training, I get quite high energy. It's a very exciting time. But I haven't been doing that. When Humps has been doing training with us, I haven't been doing that. I've been doing very low energy training, very calm, slow training. And because he's come from Korea, he doesn't know anything. So he didn't even know basics, sit, come, nothing. Although it dawned on me the other day, I might have mentioned this earlier in the video, he wouldn't speak English, it would be Korean. So I don't really know what he could have done. But anyway, so I kind of had to go back to the beginning because he had to learn to speak English. And so I've just been doing that, taking my boys back to basics and keeping training really calm. But anything where treats are involved, I've made sure that, again, going back to the space, that there's distance between them. Feeding, absolutely with feeding, hierarchy again. So I put Albert's food down first, then I put Harry's food down, and I put Hump's food down. Humps in the beginning was getting incredibly excited at meal times and then absolutely wolfing his dinner down, and then he would run over to eat some of Harry or Albert's dinner. So obviously I was on that the second it happened, and he learnt very, very quickly that wasn't how you do it. You eat your dinner slowly and you enjoy it, and then you wait nicely while the others finish theirs. And he's learnt that really, really quickly. But again, it's really important, like I said with the brushing, that you put the food down in the hierarchy of your dogs so that everybody knows where they stand, that there is absolutely no excitement. Everybody has to be nice and calm before you place the bowls down. And then when I'm feeding them, I stand in a position where I can get to any one of them within a second. And everybody must know the rules of it. And again, that's gone very, very well. So anything that you do with the dogs, really heavily supervise, just to make sure that everything is nice and peaceful. So now we've done 3.5 weeks, and I'm at the point now where I don't really watch them all the time. There's no need to. I don't need to, and I don't think that's healthy. I think now they need to start bonding as a pack more. I'm with them all the time, but I'm just not watching them all the time. I'm not always in the same room, stuff like that, and I'm just letting them start to bond now. So that's going well. That's going very well. They're not friends. They're far from friends, but there's no arguing or anything like that. It's all going very peacefully and very nicely. So that's it all. And again, as I always say with all of this stuff, don't give yourself a hard time if it goes wrong, because it will do. You are going to have times. I mean, I've been really lucky with these three. I haven't had any bad stuff happen. I've been really lucky. But that has been very intensive. I've had to really intensively be working on that. But if it goes a bit wrong, don't give yourself a hard time. It's a hard thing to do, to integrate a dog into a new pack, especially a rescue dog with troubles and that's old. It's not an easy thing to do. So as I always say, don't give yourself a hard time about it. If you do something wrong, it results in it all going a bit wrong. Just pick yourself, quickly snap yourself back to where you should be, and don't give yourself a hard time about it. If you've got any questions at all, drop them to me. I'll try and help you as much as I can. Other people in comments might be able to help you. And I hope that, I hope it's going all right with you. I hope that your new dog and your old dogs and you're all integrating all together nicely. But like I said, the biggest thing I would say is your energy. Without question, you've got to be pack leader. You have to be pack leader. You do not bring another dog into your pack if you are not pack leader. That's a whole other subject. I've done a whole video on that. Go and watch that, because if you're not pack leader, you're going to be in trouble. So go and watch that. Space, really space, lots of space. So no one has to get too close to each other if they don't want to. Right, that's it then. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Have a lovely day, and bye bye.